I have been laying here, attempting to sleep for the past 2 hours, and all I can think about is how wonderfully woodland it sounds outside, and how completely frustrated I've been at the story of my life. With one of the videos I made earlier, I told you how much I make a month, and I've been thinking about that lying down in bed. Less than $800 a month. And this is like I've been replaying my entire life story, okay? Giving myself a life review of sorts. And I have gone from always being second best and having more than was fair burdens put on me from childhood. I've experienced way too much trauma. I have been part of massive damage to my psyche. There have been multiple programs I've been a part of that I didn't consciously consent to. There's been so much sci-fi bullshit in my life that I can't even say it with a straight face because of how much abuse I've endured. And then everything I've learned and the states of epiphanies and enlightenments I've gained, and how I've teeter-tottered back and forth from knowing everything from a higher perspective to realizing the human version of it that I've experienced. And being caught in the middle of all of it. Like, yeah, I went through all this ridiculous stuff, but I consented to it on some level. But on the human level, it fucking sucked. Like, really bad. And I don't want to make my life based on trauma or trauma recovery. So I've been sitting here, lying in bed and thinking about the last relationship I was in with what most people nowadays call a twin flame. He burned my life to cinders, and I use that very sparingly considering what happened with the other person I knew. May he rest in peace. But my twin, he took so much from me, from physical to emotional things, and withheld even more, so on and so forth. And then the whole stereotypical narcissistic discard, and then ghosting and stonewalling and the whole textbook behavior. And I realize now, while I was lying here thinking about how I've been doing this with $800 a month and everything I've been through in the last 2 years trying to get just my stuff back from that house, all the while getting myself into an apartment, fixing my biological family relationships that I've had, being more harmonized with them, realizing my own self-worth, coming to terms with my own gender, and doing this transition with basically just the help of my sister now and then to drive me around to like doctor appointments. Having gone through all of the abuse and trauma I was going through internally while I was with my twin, and then recovering physically and mentally and emotionally and spiritually, and still having my legal name because I can't afford to change my name yet. Living in a suburb on my, like, in a really not nice suburb, okay? This place is ghetto. And I apologize if it offends anybody, but it's a label that fits. There's a freaking crack house across the street. Like, these people make crack in there. You can see the fire through the window if you look. And here I am, this like, one day I was walking to the grocery store and a bunch of these people were looking out the window, looking at me, being like, what is she doing here? And they're like, well, she just moved in a little while ago into that, housing support house. And they're like, what's she doing here by herself? And she's white. Isn't she afraid? And I'm carrying like jugs of water because I don't have a water filter. My twin still has the water filter. And I've been doing all of this since November 8th on my own, and like getting my life on track with less than $800 a month, no car, no active driver's license, not a fucking friend in the world that would stand up by my side for anything. Like, I have no friends, maybe some Facebook acquaintances, but nobody I can like pick up the phone and call and be like, I need your help, other than my sister, and she's only available Thursdays and Fridays because of her work schedule. The only friend I had was a long story, which ended like 6 years ago, and it was almost a 20-year friendship. And other than that, it was my twin that I was with for 8 years. He was my best friend, and he treated me like I was garbage towards the end of it. Like I meant nothing. He would go suck a dick in the basement, and then he would come up and give me a kiss goodnight and go to sleep. And I would stay awake the rest of the night, crying my eyes out, pretending I don't know what's happening and just accepting it because I figured he would eventually stop. Anyway, so now I have my own apartment. I do everything on my own. I'm like, nobody is my meal ticket. My mother-in-law had pushed me into the garbage can, pointing her finger in my chest, calling my partner, my twin, who was my husband, living in our own house together, doing all this shit for like 8 years together. She called him my meal ticket. And I was so offended at that time. Like, we did everything together. There was no aspect where it was a meal ticket. Like, what the fuck? Was every pizza being written down on a receipt somewhere that you fed me pizza? Jesus. So now I'm doing everything on my own, and I'm making all these videos, and I'm helping people through emails and doing these readings, and I've just been laying here realizing I survived so much. From a war in Iran in 1980 to 1983, and then being moved to Germany, and then losing all my friends and everything repeatedly over and over. Seeing all the people around me that I knew and cared about disappear, change, die, cheat on each other, abuse each other. All the times I got raped and molested and beaten. All the people that betrayed me. I mean, holy shit. And everything I had that I gave away. Every time I would have anything, I would give it to someone else. I would buy things purposefully to make things to give to other people. And when I got too sick, when I couldn't figure out how to beat a bracelet on my own and I was too embarrassed to say anything about it, everybody started pointing the finger at me. And when I lost my fucking mind, they just validated and they're like, see, you're crazy, you're the villain. Like, I have been abused my entire fucking life, and I have gotten myself through so much, and the first person that genuinely offered me help ended up being the one who discarded me like I was trash. And then with my ex, the one that passed away recently, well, the one that was murdered recently, to be quite honest with you. He was quite literally murdered. His house was burned down while he was in it with 2 dogs. Human beings are disgusting. And I'm sitting here thinking, what the fuck? Is this as good as it's gonna get? I'm almost 40 and I've lived an entire life of all this trauma just to sit in a house, like a HUD house, rent assistance house. Because and mind you, I moved to this freaking city to be closer to my twin because of the hope that we could get back together and fix things, because I'm like in it till the end. He's my freaking match. I don't care how many things happened. That's my partner. I'm not going to abandon him. I don't care how many times he bails and runs. That's my person. I'm his person. But all of this, and for me, for this week to have been in such a state where I couldn't even order a pizza to feed myself. Like, I couldn't do anything. Like, I got so mad and so sad at the same time. All the manifestations I was doing, everything I've been attempting to bring into my reality, I realized why it was being kept away. It was as if, like, me yelling at my source self, at my creator, at whatever the F you want to call it, for like, how much longer are you going to punish me? Like, what the fuck did I do so wrong that I deserve this life? After everything I've been through, I can't even have like 1 pizza a month. Nothing. Like, I have to sit here eating canned food and dollar store bags of chips to live off of less than $800 a month while paying rent, with no car, no driver's license, a broken phone that only stays charged for 5 minutes, in a neighborhood where I can't really go walking around outside unless it's before 3 p.m. And living in a building with people who, every single one of them, is mentally unstable in some way or another. I guess I should be thankful for the trauma that I've endured, because it's allowed me to live with cheap rent. I was about to break down in a few, like, before making this video, until, like, it dawned on me. This is just the beginning of my story. Everything I've been through has been to get me to comprehend how much better I deserve. I mean, really, if I can do it through everything I've been through, all the conspiracy theories, all the sabotage, all of the abuse, all of the fucking pain from before I was even a year old. And now I'm nearing 39. And just now my life is finally beginning. And if I can do this, you have no fucking excuse. None. I mean, even my teeth. To have someone's teeth sabotaged so they can't even eat properly, or so they can't smile properly, just to damage the self-esteem even more from every different angle, so this person's self-worth will be completely shit useless. I've experienced evil in this life. True evil. And if I can get through it and find self-worth in all of it and move forward, even in a ghetto neighborhood with a ragtag apartment with dollar store decorations, a needy, obnoxious cat who's become my best friend. All with what I started with was a blanket, a hand-me-down bed, a pillow, and my computer. Had my parents not taken me in after that separation happened, I would have been homeless. And living with them wasn't very easy either. It was a lot of fucking mind games. Until finally, a few months before I moved in here, things finally calmed down and we were peaceful after like 9 months of being the worst example of a family you could be to each other. We were never really close, and when I moved back in, it was even worse because I was already starting transitioning and they were used to seeing me with, as a gay man living with another gay man in a suburb, owning my own, like our own house, and having 4 cats and being financially well off. I hadn't made it at that point. It was fine. All the abuse I went through it was for that. It was for that relationship. It was for that marriage and that life. Living in a beautiful place in Wisconsin with like $1 million homes everywhere. It was amazing. And then to have it all like gone in an instant and I'm at their door in a garbage bag, like with a garbage bag of clothes. And then for them to see how he treated me the next day when I went back home and be like, he acted like I didn't exist. Not only did they completely, like, I had no respect from anybody, including myself. Everybody treated me like shit. Everybody left me alone. My body was completely damaged. I couldn't even sit properly without being in pain or being completely irrational and unwell. To this day, I still can't really talk about what happened that easily. It was like I saw the devil in my husband. And then the devil took my husband, and all I was left with was his carcass in front of me, pretending that I was a complete stranger to him. Within a span of 5 minutes. And seriously, if I can get through all of that, get myself an apartment, and get my life together in less than 6 months' time of being by myself in here, you have no excuse. You can work. You can communicate with people. You probably have a friend, whether they're fake or not. Your parents are probably way more supportive than mine have ever been. Even if they hate you, they probably haven't tried to kill you. Really. Less than $800 a month. Living alone. Miles and miles away from anybody I know and anybody that would care about me. And I can honestly say there isn't a single person I know that would be like, I would take, I would stand in front of something terrible to protect you. I don't know anybody like that. I'm that person for these people. So I don't want to have any more pep talks with people to tell them if they can do it or not. Just send them this video. If I can do it, so can you. If I can do this transition on my own with all the fuck ups that have happened, so can you. if I can take multiple different kinds of the injections and then the pills and then all the other ones and maintain my body's health, so can you. If I can get myself back to sanity and mental health and physical well-being after what happened, regardless of what's going on in your life, you can do it too. People make excuses for so many things just to play the victim. And those of us who've actually been victimized don't have the luxury of making those excuses because we realize how pathetic they actually are compared to the pain we've experienced. And I'm done being a victim. I'm done being any aspect of these narcissistic, demonic, abusive titles. I'm simply going to enjoy my life. And no one's ever going to say that someone's my fucking meal ticket ever again. Ever. I'd rather be single for the rest of my life. Because that way at least I get to keep my dignity intact and I get to remember the people in my life in a better way instead of seeing the ugly that comes out of them when money is involved. It's so disgusting. It's so disgusting how people put a price tag on things and each other and experiences and emotions. When those of us that don't even have the money to buy food look at those price tags like that's what you're valuing? Can I put a value on everything I've contributed? Because if I can, I would be the richest person in the world. You don't see me running around saying, oh, I'm your meal ticket. Like, no. We all work together and we all appreciate each other and contribute and pay it forward in whatever way we can. Or get the fuck out of my life. No one has a right to withhold what's yours from you. No one has a right to make you feel less than. And no one, I don't care what agency it is or what demon it is or what God it is, nobody has the power to keep you from what is yours. So if you intend on having something and it's not happening, realize that you're the only one keeping you from it. Because I was the only one keeping me from what I've been wanting to get. Why? Because I was telling myself the story of a victim. And I realized today I haven't been the victim. I've actually gotten through something really fucking horrible. And now I see it. Because the pain finally got so intense, especially with hearing about that murder. And then there comes a point where you're just so hurt that you can't hurt anymore. And then you kind of disassociate, and then you look at everything very logically, very intelligently. There's still emotion. You're still perfectly feeling the pain and horror of it all. It's just you realize that responding to it from a place of acknowledging your emotions is pointless. I learned a great skill today, that regardless of how devastated I feel, my feelings don't control me. That line in X-Men The Last Stand, when, spoiler warning, when Jean Grey is about to disintegrate Xavier, and he's like, don't let it control you. I finally comprehend what it means. You have to be stronger than the pain you're experiencing. You have to be. Otherwise, that pain controls you and creates a life for you so that you can figure out how to overcome it again. Fear and pain are a gift. So the next time you're afraid of something or the next time you're in pain, thank it. The fear is trying to make you stronger, and the pain is your power. All this time I've been attempting to re-manifest that relationship with my twin, to re-manifest my freaking grandmother's curtains, or a hug to one of my cats with him, or just to hug him again. And I couldn't. This pain was in the way. And now I realize that pain is the way. People tell you to let go, and it's such a trap. It's like being Storm or Jean Grey or somebody that experienced a massive amount, or like Wonder Woman in the movie, where the guy goes up in the airplane and blows up, and then she loses her shit, and then that's how she manages to beat Ares. Without the loss, you don't have that surge of power. Without that pain, you're nothing. You're just a collection of happy experiences. And when shit hits the fan, you have no idea what to do because all you've known is gumdrops and daisies and cat whiskers. It's the people who have been massively damaged that end up saving the lives of the other ones or leading the way. I guess I'm destined for great things then. Almost 5 in the morning, and I'm sitting here talking to my cell phone, listening to birds, posting a video online for God knows who to watch and listen to, with no idea what repercussions or what cause and effect these videos will make throughout the entire time stream continuum or space-time continuum of any kind. Now that takes courage. Foresight and hindsight. And right now I don't care about any of it. All I want to do is hug my twin, have some coffee with him, and watch the sunrise of the lake. And maybe someday I'll be able to. But for now, I gotta figure out what I'm gonna do today. Other than go to the food pantry again. I don't ever want to hear any of you complain about your lives. Ever again. May you never experience the life I've experienced, but may you know the lessons and the wisdom from it. I wouldn't wish the pain I've been through to anyone, not even the devil, him or herself. May what I've experienced have cleared it from the collective. Now please get off your asses and do something kind for each other.